Want to build muscle? Create progression in your workouts. Note, I didn't say add weight, because while weights are an amazing and easy way to create progression in your training to optimize muscle growth, you can still build muscle without having access to them. If it challenges you, it will change you. So you're not doomed if you're training from home or with limited equipment, but you do have to get creative and design your workouts with purpose and strategy. That's why I want to share 10 tips to adjust those training variables to help you see muscle gains, even when weights aren't an option. You won't use all these in every workout, but there's opportunity in the options. Tip number 1, vary exercise posture and positions. If a move is starting to feel too easy, you can make slight adjustments to that movement pattern to create progression and even target different muscle groups to different extents. Take the basic push-up. You can place your feet up on a couch to make them more challenging and even target your upper pecs more. You can lift one foot up to make them more core intensive. You can bring your hands closer in for a narrow grip to challenge your triceps even more. You can do a pike push-up over a standard to create a killer shoulder and arm variation. All of these changes in your exact positioning and posture with the basic push-up can help you progress the move and challenge your chest, shoulders, and triceps in new ways. Another way to change your posture is tip number 2. Make moves unilateral. A unilateral move is a move done on one side or a single arm or single leg exercise. Think single leg squat or airborne lunge, or even the tricep push-up. When you're only able to use one arm or leg, you're basically adding weight without having any weights, as that one limb is now carrying your entire body weight. Unilateral moves also create more instability, which can make moves harder as well. And even if you can't yet do a fully unilateral move, you can progress an exercise through an 80-20 variation. You can do a staggered stance squat to build up to that single leg squat, or you can do an 80-20 glute bridge instead of the full single leg glute bridge. All of these start to shift that weight to one side and not only make moves harder, but also help you correct imbalances. Tip number 3, change the range of motion of an exercise. Increasing the range of motion of an exercise makes it more challenging while also improving your mobility. An example of this is going from the basic split squat to the balance lunge. By placing your back foot up on something, you create more instability, but also a bigger range of motion you have to work through, challenging your legs more. But you can also shrink the range of motion to keep muscles under constant tension. Instead of that split squat becoming a balance lunge, you could do split squat pulses. You'll keep those leg muscles under constant tension without a break to challenge them. Both can be used to your advantage, and you may even find you use both variations in a workout, even back to back. Which leads me to tip number 4. Don't be afraid to work the same muscle with multiple exercises in a row. When you combine multiple moves for the same muscle back to back, you can help yourself work a muscle closer to fatigue and recruit more muscle fibers to drive that amazing muscle growth. This is different than just doing more reps of the same move, because you can use different types of exercises or even different training variables to target the muscle group in different ways and even isolate it. It's why I mentioned using multiple ranges of motion back to back. You may do split squats and then pulses, or even pulses and then the full balance lunge. That uses the change in range of motion to even further isolate a muscle group and work it to fatigue. But you can also work an area back to back with completely different moves. You may do a balance lunge and combine it with a single leg squat, or front lunge to further target those quads. But you also don't have to do another compound move. You can use an isolation exercise. Tip number 5, don't forget about isolation moves. Working a muscle with back-to-back moves and honing in on a specific muscle group with a more isolated movement can be a great way to really push to failure and see those amazing muscle gains. This can be especially key with a stubborn muscle group you want to grow. Instead of a squat with a balance lunge, you could do the balance lunge with a lean back. But you can use those isolation exercises to target a muscle that may not be fully fatigued during a compound exercise. And you can vary when you include the isolation move, doing it before the compound exercise for a bit of that pre-fatigue, to go into the move tired so you max out with fewer reps or an easier variation. Or you could do it after as post-exhaust technique to work it when it's already tired from the compound move. Both can be beneficial and used based on how challenging you find the compound exercise you're using. All of these moves you're using, both the isolation and compound exercise, can be done at different tempos, even using holds. Tip number 6, change exercise tempo. Not only can you speed a move up or slow it down, but you can do both through different portions of the movement and even include holds. You could do a push-up, lowering down slowly, hold at the bottom for a count, then push back up quickly. Or you can choose to just emphasize one tempo or one portion of the movement. You can even include the same move done at different tempos back to back to combine it with tip number 4 and work a muscle group with back-to-back moves. For instance, to work your legs with squats, you could start with a wall sit, then do a 5-count slow eccentric squat after. You could even throw in tip number 3 and follow the slow eccentric squats with pulse squats. But realize that the pace at which you do moves can have an impact, and we don't want to just rush through. One of my favorite ways to perform the wall sit series I just mentioned is to implement tip number 7. Use time sets to increase training density. This tip also helps you implement tip number 8. Use volume to your advantage. You'll find when you're training with more bodyweight-based movements, more reps and sets are needed to challenge you even as you implement these other training techniques. Own this and focus on increasing your volume, the reps and sets you do, in your training. This doesn't mean you just want to keep adding in more, but it does mean to not fear higher rep ranges. And it's a great reason to even use some time sets and circuits. This can help you pack in more work, but without just adding more time to your workouts. You'll also find you push past failure with moves when focusing on working for a set amount of time over just completing a rep range listed. With time circuits and sets, you want to even pick a variation of a move you have to pause during the interval of work to complete. And you can increase training density for an area by doing intervals of work back to back that work the same muscle group. This is where you could do that wall sit series I mentioned with the eccentric squats and pulses for intervals of work back to back. Density interval workout designs like that with back-to-back intervals of work for the same muscle group can really help you work a muscle to fatigue and force you to do more reps than you would have if you just had a rep range to hit. Part of working a muscle group with more volume over the week isn't just about doing more in a single session either. It's also about working a muscle group more frequently over the week. Tip number 9, increase your weekly training frequency. With more bodyweight-based training, you can increase the volume of work you do for a muscle by doing more frequent training sessions. Work a muscle group 3 to 4 times a week to even create that challenge. Without weights, you may find your recovery time between your sessions doesn't need to be as long, allowing you to get in more volume with more frequent sessions for the same area. This can also help you be more efficient in your workouts and use a great diversity of movement types and training techniques for the same area since you have more sessions to use. And tip number 10, get creative with equipment. Too often we write off other tools besides weights to create progression, but bands, sliders, suspension trainers are all amazing ways to progress moves. They even work to challenge muscles at different points than weights do. Like bands can create more resistance when a muscle is strongest because resistance increases as stretched over a move like the bicep curl. They can even really make you fight to control the eccentric and slow down the tempo of that portion of the lift. And you can even make use of certain things you have around the house to create instability or add resistance or a new challenge. Towels, for instance, can reduce traction and allow you to challenge your inner thighs more with a side lunge or kneeling adduction. But have some fun thinking of other ways to create a new challenge. All 10 of these training techniques are opportunity and options. You may use them over the course of your week in different ways, or even just a few, but they can all help you create that challenge to build amazing strength and muscle.